What is up? You were watching the LaxFactor College Lacrosse Preview Show. We'll be putting these videos out every Thursday by 2 p.m. each day, so be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and if you want to be notified whenever we put out a video, hit the notification bell. It's somewhere here. But we have a lot of games to talk about, so let's get right to it. Cornell at Hobart is the first game of the weekend. Cornell hasn't played yet, and Hobart is 2-0. Hobart's outscored their opponents so far 43-24, but they've played Siena and Canisius, so I'm impressed with the spread. I'm not necessarily impressed with the competition. Cornell hasn't played yet, and despite that, they're still ranked number 4 at the moment due to last year's success, and they're the only team currently ranked in the media poll that hasn't played a game yet. So I predict Cornell by 6 goals in this one. I think Jeff Teat's going to go for 6 points or more. Probably split 3-3, 3-4, somewhere in that range, and he's got teammates that are going to light it up also. I think that if Cornell played these guys later in the season, it would be Cornell by 7, Cornell by 10, somewhere in that range. But I think because Hobart's already got a couple games under their belt, they're playing at home, they're pumped with a lot of confidence, and because it's Cornell's first game, I feel like it's going to end up being a little bit closer than what we'd normally see with a team the quality of Cornell playing against a mid-level, low-level like Hobart. Sorry, Statesman. I mean, I know you guys love your program, but you are a low-level D1 program still at this point. Virginia at Princeton, and Virginia is one of those teams that badly needs a win coming into this weekend. At 1-2, they could afford to go 1-3 as long as they string together a bunch of good wins, because Lord knows their schedule's tough enough that they're going to be able to pick up some quality wins and right the ship, even if they start 1-3. But with Syracuse, Duke, UNC, Notre Dame, Hopkins, Brown, I mean, with that schedule still up after you have to play Princeton this weekend, you don't really want to lose this one. And the worst part for Virginia is Princeton is strong where Virginia is weak. Princeton's attackmen are excellent. Michael Sowers went 2-5 last week. Granted, they didn't play anybody, but Sowers was 2-5, and his line mates combined for 11 goals and 4 assists. So on attack, Princeton is really tough, and Sowers is one of the best, and that's where Virginia's had a really rough time. They're just defensively in general, they've had a really rough time. So I'm going to go with Princeton by 3. I think that Princeton's attackmen are scary good, and they have a couple of really solid midfielders also, and UVA's defense has been scary bad so far. So Princeton by 3, and sadly the Cavs are going to start 1-3. Towson at Georgetown. Both teams 2-0. Georgetown 2-0, but they've played subpar opponents. Towson has a big quality win over Hopkins already. Well, we'll see how quality that ends up being after this weekend, but they've got a big win over Hopkins in their first game of the season. I think the end of the day, McLean and Sunday are going to end up combining for 8 goals. It's going to be too much for Georgetown. I'm going Towson by 3, but I think it's going to be a close game, and I think Georgetown's going to make a good show of it. Notre Dame at Richmond. Richmond's sitting at 2-1 with wins over UMBC and Bucknell, and a 1-goal loss their first game of the year to Maryland. So they're playing tough lacrosse. Notre Dame has a big win over Detroit Mercy. They won convincingly, so that's good. I predict that Costabile's going to go off on the Spiders. I think he's going to go for 4 goals. I think he's going to score a goal late to help propel Notre Dame to a 4-goal win over the Richmond Spiders. Johns Hopkins at North Carolina. And Hopkins is the other team that badly needs a win this weekend. They're sitting right now at 0-2. A loss to the 3-0 Tar Heels puts them at 0-3 for the first time in forever. I'm not even sure. I don't have a stat for it, but I know they've over the last 5 years, they've had a couple of seasons where they've started slow, 1-2, 2-2. I think they were 2-2 last year and 1-2 the year before. And last year at 2-2, they ended up smoking Syracuse in the Dome. I don't think that's going to happen against UNC. I think that Hopkins is going to start 0-3. I think that UNC is going to start the season off 4-0, and I'm going UNC by 4. Hopkins beat them by 2 last year. I think that UNC is playing excellent offensive lacrosse. I think that Hopkins is playing really, really poor off-ball defense. They're not playing exceptionally good on-ball defense. Their goalkeeping, So I'm going UNC by 4. Hopkins drops to 0-3. UNC 4-0. Penn State at Yale. I think this is the most exciting game of the weekend. I've got a hot take on this one, and it's that the national champs are going to start the season 0-2 because Penn State, they play like a bunch of goddamn savages running around on the field like crazy. I feel like Jack Starr would need to put up 18 saves in this game to be able to beat Penn State. He might need to put up 20 saves in this game to beat Penn State. Yale is a team that's still trying to find an identity on defense. I think offensively, they're going to be good every game this year for the most part. They were good last week. I think their problem is going to be, despite winning faceoffs, they're going to have a hard time finding that defensive identity. I think they'll eventually do it, but they lost 2 seniors at Pole last year, and they've got Chris Fake back, but now they got to kind of figure out who's going to step up and what those roles are going to be on the defensive side of the ball. And I don't think they're going to have answers yet, especially not against a team that's clicking on all cylinders like Penn State is. So between Ament and O'Keefe, good luck. You know, you can put Fake on one of them and he could probably limit one of them, but the other is just going to put up 7 goals in the game. So I think Penn State goes up early. I think that Yale's going to battle back, but I think in the end, Penn State by 5. That is my hot take. Penn State's going to start 4-0. I think that puts them. You guys can correct me. I might be wrong. And Yale at 0-2. I think Yale's going to be fine. I think Yale's still going to be a quarterfinal team, but they're going to start 0-2, I believe. And you can take that to the bank, baby. And if I'm wrong, you can trash me in the comments. Army at Syracuse. This is a game that is traditionally decided by 3 goals or less. The last 2 years, Cuse by a goal last year, Army by a goal the year before. I think that because Syracuse traditionally wins this game, I feel like that trend's going to continue. I'm going to say Syracuse by, wait for it, 1 goal. Syracuse by a goal against Army. I think it's going to be a nail-biter. I think you're going to see a big game out of Jamie Trimboli for Syracuse. He looked good last week, and he's on the verge of breaking out. I think that Trimboli is one of the difference makers. He's going to put up 3 goals, and I think you're also going to see Nate Solomon put up 3 goals in this game. Solomon, watch, he's going to go 3-1. Mark my words, but Syracuse by a goal, and it's going to be another nail-biter in the Dome, as is always the case when Army comes to town. Remember, always be sure to comment. You can tell me how awesome I am or how bad I suck. You can like the video. You can subscribe. And if you want to be notified when we put out more videos, please hit the notification bell because subscriptions just aren't enough.